following is a demonstration of the Alert Stratus case entity extensions to Microsoft Dynamics CRM 2011. If we go under the Alert Stratus menu or the Service menu in CRM, we will see the case entities available to us. If we wish to add a new case, we can simply do so by clicking New, and it will bring us to a new blank case. You can then identify the customer the case is for. I'll select Andrews Memorial Hospital and a location within the hospital for the case. We then identify the case origin. In this case, we'll say the customer has phoned us with the issue. They have told us that their server is down, and we can identify a subject to associate with the case. Give it a case type. Is it a question, problem, or request? Again, we will say this is a problem. It can be associated with a project task to the Stratus project system, or it can simply be a support case that's required. We can also connect this with a maintenance or support contract identified in the system so that we can identify the entitlement of whether this case is billable or not and what the terms and conditions are. We can also link this with company equipment. If there is actually items that are associated with that customer, there's an additional company equipment table or asset table within the Alert Stratus product in CRM to identify company equipment at locations, be it hardware, software, or whatever it is we wish to take service or support cases against. I will then identify a billable or non-billable rate associated with this case. So the case entity is extended to now support time collection and invoicing against service cases. We will then provide coverage code so that we know what is regular time and what is overtime associated with this case. I will also now put in a description of the problem, and I have an unlimited ability to add any notes associated with the case as well. I associate a price level so that we can upcharge or discount our service rates based on the price levels available in CRM. And when we're satisfied with that, we simply save the case. To now manage this case in CRM, we can now add activities for work performed against the case. We'll do so by adding any one of the activities that we are familiar with seeing in the standard CRM. When it comes to the appointments or service activities, those entities are extended now to collect time and manage billable engagements within the case entity. So, by doing so, I simply attach my service activity, give it a subject, identify the resource or technician who performed the work, we can then identify what our actual start and end dates were and the time that we started. So we started at 11 and finished at 1. We can also identify travel time to and from, as well as non-billable or lunch or periods of time that are not to be invoiced as part of this. And we can also collect mileage if that's appropriate. We can identify a description of the activity as well as add any notes to that activity. As I do so, I'll save that activity, and now that time is collected against the case and will be billed according to the service type that we've identified on this case. We now see that activity associated with the case, and you can have an unlimited amount of activities linked with any case that we enter in the system. That is simply one method of time entry against a case. There are multiple other options. We can certainly use the timesheet and scheduling system to do so, where we simply take a look at our calendar and we can see all of the cases and project tasks that are out there and drag and drop those into their calendar. By doing so, that will update their timesheet, and this pink area indicates the date and time that the case has been assigned to that resource. We can see up top their billable and non-billable, both scheduled and actual hours accumulating for the week. And we see here in the bottom area the details of the project task or case that we're entering time against. And they can simply enter the hours against here, and any other relevant details and notes can be entered in the bottom section when we click on each of those activities. The other option is these appointments will appear in the Outlook calendar, so they can open that activity within Outlook and enter their time there. We can also enter any expenses incurred against those cases, as well as any parts or materials or equipment that are sold or used against that case. Those can be added onto the case as well and billed appropriately according to the service type that's associated with the case. As the case is completed, we can then close it out and go to the billing process. When we've completed work on the case, we can now put it into a closed status. The closed status will then identify that the case is completed and now ready to go through the billing cycle. So by doing so, we generate an order batch. So now to generate our invoices for the closed cases, we generate a new order batch. And I will say this is July 7th, 2011 invoices. The system will generate the batch number for us. We can give it a description. And then our batch case in this instance is, our batch type is cases. We'll select the date, and we'll select the cutoff date. We'll say today. I then save that, and it's generated an order batch for us. Now to process that, I simply click the Prepare Batch, and it will process that for us. Once the order batch has been processed, it will then generate orders. So if we look at all of the orders for all of the cases that are invoiced within this batch, in this case we just have the one, we can then click on its detail and open up that order. If we simply want to run a report or view that order, we go to our Run Report, and it will then give us the option of viewing the order. To do so, we click on that, and we can then run our report viewer, and we can see essentially a copy of what that invoice would look like and all of the details of the labor and items and expenses to be invoiced with this case. This will then pass through the standard CRM connector to either NAV, GP, or AX sales order processing modules, where with full detail where the invoice could be printed and sent to the client. This concludes the Alert Stratus case extension demonstration